Now, we talked about the levels of classrooms, and you know that the challenges we face in each of these categories are definitely going to be different. You don't expect that the stress that a pre-primary will make you go through is what a primary will make you go through or go to or high school. Yes, so classroom challenges of each of these categories is different. Classroom management plans should also be different. Now, you're going to make a classroom management plan. You're not going to set the same plan you've made for pre-primary to primary, or same thing for primary, same thing for middle school or for high school. Definitely has to be different. So now, what works for a 5-year-old will never hold true for 15 years old, because the problems they face are different. It's just saying that when you're small, you used to enjoy taking golden morn. Now let's look for something. What's this baby food? Cerelac. So you're small, you used to enjoy taking Cerelac, like you loved Cerelac. Now by the time you turn 5 or turn 10, and then your mom's mix Cerelac for you, not be like, mommy, I'm 10 years old. I know how the small kids of these days are now. They reset it straight for you immediately that I've grown. So what hold through for a 5 years old definitely not hold through for a 15 years old, because the problems that they face are different. Now let's look at some of the class management challenges for pre-primary. Now, managing a class for a pre-primary student is interesting because they are just starting to understand the concept of a class. Yeah, you don't have to do anything bogus or anything big. Like what you just have to, the placement of a place where they have to follow rules, show semblance of others, obey their teacher, and the challenges that you might face in handling pre-primary classes are the age-appropriate development. Yeah, when I talk about the age-appropriate development, I mean in this age group, the degree of development varies in children that age just 3 or 6 months. Now, teacher has to take into account varied abilities of the student. There are some students who at this particular age are already smart. In fact, they are smarter than their age already. I mean, there are things you will give to them that you expect that they are not supposed to react or respond to, or they should give you a rough sketch, and they're giving you something almost perfect. You know that this set of people are smarter than their age already, yeah, and you would not want to separate them from the ones that are just developing. It's a little, because you feel like you want to work on the pace of that particular child or that particular student, and might leave the other person behind, which should not. I mean, while teaching basic language or simple arithmetic, you should carry every single student along. Now, another challenge is involvement of parents. Now, for pre-primary students, parents are either involved in their studies or leave everything to the school. Now, the first group doesn't want its child to fail on a single parameter, while the second group does not want supposed learning at home for fear or overburdening of the child. Now, when I mean for the first group, I mean for the first parameter rather, those are the parents who are involved in their child's study. I mean, they want to know how their child is doing in school, what the child is learning, how is the child coming up, how fast the child is learning. While the others, I mean, those ones are the ones the workaholic set of parents, where they are learning in school, that is what you should do in school. At home, they will feel like, oh, the child should just like rest, like don't overburden my child with so much work. If the child is in school, let them deal with the schoolwork. If the child is at home, let the child rest. Now, you need to talk patiently to both sets of parents. Like, share with them that the child needs to learn both at school and home. I mean, the child is just coming up. You cannot leave everything to the teacher at school to teach, basically. You have to also, there are some things you have to do. I know at this particular stage, this is where their ears and eyes are like sharp. Like the eyes are basically sharper than the ears at that moment, because it is what they see. Now, you don't want to do some things that at the end of the parents, your child will do something in school, and definitely when the teacher, if the teacher that is very, very observant, teacher will know that this child must have seen this at home. The child could not have seen this in any other place. So you have to be very careful on what you do at home. Like the parents basically have to, you don't have to leave all the learning to the teacher. The child should learn at home and also in school. Another thing is the school support. I mean, the backing provided by the school in terms of infrastructure as well as the psychological support plays a very important part in successful handling of children without causing much stress and burnout in teachers. Now, I mean, the school should be able to give some materials to aid teaching, make teaching easier. Like, doesn't have to be the whole burden on the teacher trying to provide instructional material, trying to provide the textbooks to use for to the child. The school should be able to provide all of this. Like, each teacher should find out from the authorities what support is entitled to and actually be able to utilize it to the fullest. Now, there are not much of challenges for the pre-primary. It's going to move us straight to the challenges faced in the primary session. Now, students of the primary school, they start real academic as well as social behavioral learning. Now, social behavioral learning rather. So the students, when they begin to learn the real work of the academic, they begin to make friends, move around with some set of people, click, and you know that these are things that actually that are prominent. Basically, if you start watching movies, all these kids, teenagers movies, you see that when students go to school, they have their own clique, they have their own. Now, talking about movies, I was watching a movie that's Reason Dion. Now, Reason Dion, he wanted to move with this particular set of people because they could skate very well and they were like the top set of people in his school. But the only person that was interested to be his friend was a girl that was on a wheelchair. And he did not want to be her friend. We're like, huh? How will I work with you? We are not of the same caliber. Like, no. I want to work with this set of people. But those ones were not interested in working with him because he doesn't know how to skate. Now, he had to force himself to go and learn how to skate because he wanted to be with this set of people. Now, that is the primary set of students. Like, they begin to acquire those social behavioral learning, and they also consider old enough to start taking responsibility for their actions. Now, don't say that, oh, because it's just in primary 1 or just in primary 2, and that is why I'm not going to punish him for doing this. No, you don't let them get away with these things as little as they are, because that is what they will grow up with. Now, by the time they move to primary 2, the funny thing is you don't know that these things stick to their brains. So by the time they move to the next class, they have it at the back of the memory that, oh, when I did this the first time, nobody corrected me, nobody said anything. I repeated it, like, took their eyes off it. By the time she keeps growing with it, it becomes very difficult. Now it becomes part and parcel of them. Like, it's what they do without even thinking, without blinking twice. They don't see it as anything, and they begin to wonder, why is this person disrespectful? Why is this child? Is this the way we brought up this child? Is this the way we did? Now you want to correct them at a late time. You want to correct them at a late time when they were supposed to be corrected. You did not do anything about it. So at this stage of their life, they begin to take responsibility for their actions. And in such a mixed development, there are some challenges that are faced by the teachers. Now, in primary school, remember very well you're in primary school, one teacher takes all the subjects, like one person. Now imagine the workload on that teacher. Teacher is taking English, taking maths, taking phonetics, taking basic science. Teacher is taking everything, and you're wondering, how is this teacher able to impact knowledge successfully of each of these subjects? Now, teacher does not have time to go inside each of these subjects and break it down for you because he has a lot of this. And lesson notes, class management has to be planned for each of these subjects. That is a challenge by these teachers. Like, more subjects to less teachers. Normally, a pre-primary student will have one teacher for all subjects. Yeah, because what are they learning? How to write A, 1, 2, or colors, paintings. That's very easy. You don't really have, it's not a whole bulk of load. But moving to the primary section, as they move to a primary class, they have to get used to the idea of a different teacher for different subjects. Now, it's possible that some schools, they want to say, okay, we have a teacher that will teach you English, and then teacher 1 is coming. Hi, my name is Edith, I'll be your English teacher, and then Mrs. Edith is taking you English. After Mrs. Edith finished taking English, Mrs. Edith will step out, and Mr. Henry is coming to take you maths. After Mr. Henry takes you maths, Mr. Henry will step out. Now Mr. John is coming to take. How many people do I have to see in a day? It is a new phase entirely, a new syllabus, a new class, a new structure entirely. So the class has to be managed depending on the students' reactions. Another challenge faced by the primary sector is the lagging behind in studies. Now the real teaching begins. Some students might lag behind in some of all the academic subjects, and as a teacher you have to be alert. For me, when I was in primary school, I was you don't even want to know what position I was taking in class. I did not know me and book, we were two different set of but I wish if my teacher had paid close attention, I've noticed that this girl is not doing well in this subject, she's only doing well in this subject. What gave me the motivation was when my best friend was always from first to third. That was her position, first, second, third, and my position was, I would say it's just for the best, so that you understand that I can't even bring my report card, but it's okay. 33rd, last, and I wanted to keep moving with this set of people. I could not, every time after school, and then everybody collects their report card after the term rather, and people collect their report card. My report card is full of red. Things can't keep going this way, so I had to buckle up basically. Now if you notice that some students, they begin to lag behind in their studies, they are good in English, they are not good in maths, they are good in basic tech, they are not good in basic science. You begin to find a balance. That way you'll be able to, as a teacher, you have to be alert to the students, like be able to cope and provide additional support. It's like you have to tell the parents of the child that, okay, this child has to wait 30 minutes after school. This child is not good in maths. I need to start from the beginning. So you don't know, there might be a particular step. It might be the way the teacher is taking the whole class together, and maybe the teacher is fast, or the teacher is just following some set of people who are on the same page with the teacher, and the teacher is just going along with those ones and leaving the ones who are slow. It's not like you don't understand, but their process level is slow. So the rate at which the other students process and the rate at which they process, they are not on the same level at all. So if student A is processing on 90, student B can processing on 50. Now it's not like he's not going to understand it, but by the time student B is still processing, you've moved to the next step, and student B like, how did you get here? I'm still trying to understand this step. How did you move to the next step? So a teacher has to be sensitive and also be alert to students that are not able to cope and provide additional support. Now, another challenge faced by the primary sector of this is widening horizons. Now, when I talk about widening horizons, depending on the school, activities of students in primary level increase manifold as compared to the pre-primary classes. For example, they may be allowed to go out of the class unsupervised. Visit library, do some class chores, and this might make them distracted and restless. Making class management much more challenging. Imagine if the student has to step out of the class, like, excuse me, I want to go to the library. Excuse me, I want to organize myself. Excuse me, this, excuse me, that. Like, it's going to make the class management much more challenging. If it's for the pre-primary classes, you just have the students there, you're able to, small children, take them to wherever they want to go to. But for primary, they leave the class unsupervised, and then class management become much more challenging. Now on that note, we'll be ending to this topic on class management. Yes, we've been able to look at the meaning of classroom management, the needs for classroom management, advantages, a disadvantage, and how you can turn your disadvantage into an advantage. We've been able to look at the categories of the classroom and also checked out some challenges faced by these categories. See you at the next class.